There's no reason to ever trust a lefty on any foreign policy issue. If you take any leftist and ask them a foreign policy issue, you're probably good to just do the opposite. You should trust neoliberals over lefties on foreign policy issues. I'm not even joking when I say that. The fact that the left remains divided on the Ukraine situation effectively negates their ability to meaningfully comment on anything happening outside the borders of their own country until the end of time. Are you not a leftist? No, I'm a super capitalist. There's no reason to. Should we disagree with you? Super capitalist. Also, people on Twitter call me fascist, so, you know, that's fine. Somebody in YouTube chat says, God, I've been waiting for Vaush to realize that forever. No, I believed that for a while. There's really no reason to trust lefties on foreign policy issues. They're totally fucking corrupted by American diabolism. That's their only perspective. Listening to a lefty talk about any foreign policy issue anywhere in the world is like listening to the world's saddest man talk about his ex of 7 years ago. They won't stop fucking bringing it up. They won't stop bringing America up. They can't do it. Any foreign policy issue, anywhere, any conflict, any war, anything, any law, has to come back to America, and they will always take the anti-Americas. It doesn't matter what's involved or, like, the relevance of it. Just, that's it, you know. America took my kids! Yeah, that's it. American anti-chauvinists or something. It's insane. Would you consider Dylan Burns left? Yeah, Dylan Burns is cool. Sorry, when I say don't trust lefty, I don't literally mean like every single lefty, but yes, the most lefties you just shouldn't listen to. Why are we so morally invested in what's happening half a world away? Because the world is a small place. We're all very interconnected. We're affected by stuff that goes on. Also, I have a moral investment in the well-being of people around the world, you know? Guys, when was the last time you heard anything about Hong Kong? China stomped that one out. Remember? Hong Kong was given back to China on the condition that it maintained a separate system, which was attached to certain legal precursors. They broke those precursors, arrested people who were in favor of Hong Kong independence, appointed their own stooges, outlasted the riots, conquered the area, and now there's nothing. And in 100 years, if China still stands, Hong Kong is just going to be another homogenized slave of Chinese hegemony. Like, there was nothing that we could do there. The protests didn't really matter in China. They're not a democracy. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they can protest all they want. Like, if China wanted to, they would just Tiananmen Square over and over again. They don't care. They'll delete whatever info they need to. Oh, hey, remember when lefties would defend China's incursions into Hong Kong? I remember. That was great. The best thing there was lefties took that position, a lot of them, and it wasn't even an America thing. They called the Hong Kong people who were just trying to follow through on the treaty that China signed, they called those protesters color revolutionaries who were being funded by America, and their proof for that was that of the millions of protesters, some of them were waving American flags. You know, I bet you a lot of those protesters have been black-bagged. I mean, what do you think China does after it conquers that area? Like, oh yeah, you protested against the CCP, but we'll let you live an ordinary life? Yeah. Yeah, probably not. Don't think so. Nope. And that's just one set of political prisoners. The fucking Xinjiang Uyghur Muslim camps have mostly quieted down. If you've heard less about the camps, those camps, it is because their population decreased, I think. The Xinjiang area isn't subject to as draconian a set of policies. I think they've calmed down a little bit. Are they still going on? They are, but they're less populous than before. So it's just like half the ethnic cleansing. This dummy's pro-genocide too? The Twitter scroll? Yeah, of course. You should never trust these people on any foreign policy issues. I mean, China's dealing with COVID plus housing collapse right now too. I mean, yeah, it seems like a separate issue though. I mean, you can not do an ethnic cleansing and also have those issues. Their level of conspiracism has reached Nazi levels. Yeah, can I be honest with you guys? I actually think that in terms of divorce from reality, Tankies are exponentially worse than Holocaust deniers. Huh? In terms of like the moral like wrongness of what they believe, the Holocaust deniers are worse. But here's the difference. Having argued with Holocaust deniers are usually delusional about a very specific cluster of things, usually pertaining to the Holocaust and Jewish people, obviously. Tankies, if you look at any social media surrounding them, are that level of delusional about everything surrounding their pet country. It's not like they're essentially solipsists. It's not just like, in order to defend Russia or to like believe Russian propaganda, you have to engage in that degree of self-delusion, the kind that Holocaust deniers do, about everything, like non-stop, like a constant drip feed of solipsistic non-info. Lava Monster, I've argued with Holocaust deniers. This isn't a moral statement, because the Holocaust is worse than what's happening in Ukraine by, like, 1,000,000 degrees over. So it's not like a how bad is the thing they're denying. It's their willfulness. Well, Vaush, nobody's just a Holocaust denier. I promise you I've talked with enough of them to get a general understanding of the bumps in their skull. There's a specific set, like a cluster of historical positions that they tend to be absolutely delusional on, but it's not like a constantly, it doesn't necessitate a constantly updating. I guess the real distinction is that, like, Holocaust deniers aren't that common, but there are governments that are maintaining that degree of deliberate, like, forced solipsism in their in their constituents and their believers, you know? Like, I was arguing with a person on Twitter the other day who was arguing that Taiwan and America were the aggressor in a situation where China was threatening to shoot down Pelosi and also to invade Taiwan. That's the mainstream position of the country. China, the most populous country in the world, the article that we read, the release from their foreign ministry, requires a rejection of reality on par with Holocaust denial. A country of 1.4 billion people, and there are people outside of their country that believe it too. It's insane. And they have to do it about everything. It's like a constant, non-stop, ongoing... The real difference, probably, is the fact that the Nazi regime is done. The Nazis fell. So, all of the delusional shit that Nazis believe, it has to be like a historical remnant, you know, of the old regime, along with some updated stuff to kind of keep their conspiracy theories relevant. Whereas China and Russia are currently putting hundreds of millions into updating and perpetuating an equivalent level of, like, forced solipsism. Wild shit. QAnon is the modern iteration. QAnon. QAnon's like the modern iteration. I don't know who would win in, like, an average QAnon versus average, like, Russophile, delusional, like, delusion off. I have no idea who would win that. That'd be tough. That'd be a difficult one. A tie? Man, it's pretty bad. It's not good. Vaush, Nazis are willing to directly reject empiricism as a concept. The problem with Tankies is they presume their ideology is the same as empiricism. Past a point, I don't know if that's even true. I feel like past a point, wasn't our argument with non-compete kind of the same as him rejecting empiricism as a concept? Saying that you're willing, that you don't have a moral ideology, but instead you have a misinterpretation of historical materialism that informs... I guess that's not nominally a rejection of empiricism, but I feel like it functionally is. I don't really know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's just, it's pretty insane. Pretty wild. Pretty bad. Not good. What is idealism? Vaush, I genuinely don't understand what non-compete was talking about. It's okay, he didn't either.
Ideology was not aligned with reality.
How can you tell?
Because Jews don't actually control banks in the world.
There was a disproportionate number of Jewish control of banks in Germany during the Weimar Republic.
All right, Vaush, we're done here. Thank you. Goodbye.
Critical thing here is that for me saying that there was a disproportionate amount of Jewish control of the banks in the Weimar Republic, a bunch of people online are calling me a Nazi. Like everywhere, it's like a whole meme thing. And the weird thing is, as I understood when going into the debate, and then have looked into and have found that yes, this is the case, there was. I get very uncomfortable imagining a left where you're having an argument with a Nazi, and Nazism's on the rise right now, you know, in some ways at least. So these are things that we might have to contend with. Tucker Carlson's screaming about white genocide, you know, on his massively viewed show. I don't think this is something we can afford to have, like, no good arguments against. This is really weird to me, because what it's telling me is, first of all, that I guess a lot of people seem to believe that the only reason the Nazis were wrong was because there wasn't a sufficient amount of Jewish control. Like for you guys, I ask you, like, what percentage of Jewish involvement in banks would be necessary for you to justify the Holocaust? Like, is that where you draw your line? There was a disproportionate number of Jewish control of banks in Germany during the Weimar Republic. Расцветали яблони и груши, поплыли туманы над рекой.